there. So I made a comment in one of my videos that I wanted to expand upon. You get to look at Cat Butt today. I think I've gotten him to the point where I can work in this little teeny tiny area and he can be in this little area. He's finally calmed down enough that I can kind of do this. I'm working on cards for a friend of mine that requested a bunch of Mother's Day cards. Oh, where are you going now? Are you gonna, okay, you can be over there. Here, have that toy. See, he likes to play with the scraps. Have that toy. Yes, you can have that toy. You want it, Kib Kib? Is that what you want? Oh, you are such a pain in my patokas pokus. Yes, you are. You want Kib Kib, don't you? Yes, you're a silly little boy. Here you go, have some Kib Kib. There you go. Kib Kib for the ribble-dib. Go on, baby bear. You're still looking at Cat Butt. Sorry about that. Anyway, the comment that I made was that if you take all Americans and look at their level of racism and where they think the level of diversity should be, very few Americans are actually at 0. And what I said in my video is that most Americans fall somewhere between 0.5 and 10, 0.5 being, yeah, a little bit of diversity is fine, and 10 being, you know, diversity is amazing and wonderful, and we can learn so much from different cultures, and we need to enrich our lives by incorporating the other cultures into our knowledge bank so that we can, you know, frankly discuss the dreams and aspirations of people all over the country. All right, I'm obviously in the 10 area. But what I meant by that is that even the most staunch racist person would be okay and possibly even proud of the fact that somebody who works for them is not white. A great example of this is I used to teach this little boy, and he and his mother were racist. And his mom was really good about not saying anything when I had conversations with her, but when I had conversations with her son, because he liked to get me off task, or at least he liked to try, he would say some of the most racist things that were just, you know, plain flat out just depressingly disgusting in my personal opinion. But their gardener was an African-American man, and they were perfectly fine with that. In fact, he was very proud to show whenever their gardener was there, that their gardener was African-American. So they're not zeros. They're not absolutely zero diversity people, even though they were exceptionally racist people. And that's what I mean. You know, there are people who think that it's perfectly fine to have housekeepers and gardeners and people who work for you be of a different culture or a different race, or people who pick things in the field, or the people who bag your groceries at the grocery stores. So diversity in everybody's mind's eye falls somewhere in there, because, and this is the mindset of some people, they feel like jobs that are beneath them should go to people who are beneath them. But that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be different cultures in the country. It just means that they want to hold their noses in the air and act like their privilege is a God-given right. So think about people that you know, and think about things that you've experienced and things that you've witnessed, and you will understand where people fall in the racism and the desire for diversity scale. Can't hide it. And I used to live in Texas. And one of the things about being in Texas is that everybody who is in Texas assumes that you're racist. And some of the things that were said to me made my blood boil, turned my entire core just cold, thinking about how vile these people were. Because Texans are very, very good. And it's not every Texan. Obviously, it's not every person who lives in Texas who thinks that, you know, racism is just A-okay and mighty fine. My personal opinion is absolutely not A-okay and mighty fine. But Texans have this way about them that if you are in a group of people that are all one particular race, they will say some of the most racist, horrible things because they assume that everybody who is in Texas is also racist. So I got to hear some nasty, terrible, disgusting comments. But if they're in a group of people that aren't all, then they will tailor their conversation to seem as if they aren't. And I heard many people flip-flop from one way to the other just because a person that didn't match them showed up in the conversation. And they were supreme hypocrites, these people. And one of the things that I remember is this person who, worked with people of color, said that they really enjoyed the company of people of color and all sorts of other things, happened to buy a house. And one of the things on the house was a circle drive that had an oak tree, a great big oak tree in the middle of it. And we went over to visit them. And of course, all of us were matching. And we got out of the car, and the very first thing that he said was that oak tree was a hanging tree. And he didn't say it with disgust. He didn't say it with sadness at what had happened. He was proud of it. Proud of his hanging tree. I did my best to not say anything untoward because I didn't have a car. I rode with somebody else. If I had had a car, I'd have left immediately. But I tried my best to survive that day without saying anything that was in my mind. And there were so many things in my mind. And I never went back. Never. That was the most blatantly disgusting thing I think I have ever heard anybody say. But again, this person felt completely justified and completely safe in saying it because of the people that he was surrounded by. And that is the kind of racism that you have to really watch out for. That is the kind of person who is perfectly fine having people of color in their house as long as those people of color know their place. So those of you that, are people of color in Texas, bear in mind that a lot of the people that you think are one way are actually another. And it's disgusting to think about. It's really disheartening to think that there are people who still base quality and value of a person based on their skin color, because that has nothing to do with it. One of the commercials for one of the online universities said, nature equally distributes talent, but it does not equally distribute opportunity. And I would like to address that particular statement by saying it's not nature that's not equally distributing opportunity. It's society that's not equally distributing opportunity. And in a country like this that is so eager to go so far backwards in our history, we're just going to lose out on the benefits and the contributions that these amazing people who have these amazing talents can bring to our life, from engineering to medicine to art to, doctors, lawyers. These are people who can make a difference, researchers, scientists, people who want to study languages and learn about the different nuances of different languages, people who want to study the cultures of regions and find out the archaeology of the areas that live there, or even the paleontology of the animals that lived there in the very distant past. And these are people that are worthwhile and have talent, and those talents should be supported and nurtured regardless of their outward appearance. If you strip off the skin, we all look exactly the same. We really do. It's just a mess of muscles and nerves and bones and blood and guts, for lack of a better term. We all look exactly the same. There is no difference. If you watch the very last Family Feud that was done by Richard Dawson, he brings up the fact that he used to kiss everybody. He didn't care. If you were a woman, he kissed you. Now, granted, this is not acceptable behavior in this day and age, but, you know, he lived in a different time, and times have changed and times have gotten better, but he did live in a different time. And one of the things that he said at the very end of his very last broadcast show for Family Feud was that God made a rainbow in all different colors in response to him kissing people of all different colors. He said, God made a rainbow in all different colors, and who am I to challenge God's ideas? And I thought that was amazing. That stuck with me. Now, of course, I'm obviously not quoting him exactly right. Go back, find the episode. They show it on Buzzer every now and then, or you can probably find it on YouTube or any of the other streaming video sources. Where do I want to put these? See, I'm gonna do this one. This one's flat on there. This one's got 1 millimeter, and the other one's gonna have 2 millimeter on it. I'm trying to figure out how I want to set this up, how I want to lay it out. Do I want to do it that way and then put 2 millimeter on that one? Or do I want this one in the center and do that? I really should not have peeled that before I knew where I wanted these to go. 2020 hindsight. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to clarify that, you know, most Americans are not completely racist, make the country completely white. That is a very, very, very small percentage. But you've got the same small percentage that are on the other end of the spectrum saying, you know, everybody is valuable and we need to embrace the cultures of every different individual that we can incorporate into our society and our lives so that we can learn and grow together. So, you know, almost everybody falls somewhere between 0.5 and 9.5. So, anyway, we'll finish working on this. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but it's really pretty. Side note, this is the shelf liner paper like this that you get from Dollar Tree. And I just put it on a piece of cardstock and cut it out into little circles, and I'm doing it that way. So that's where I got this beautiful design, in case you want to copy it. Anyway, that's it for today. Peace.